Yo, what's good, Marvel Gun enthusiasts? I was about to say what's good, Cowboys Nation. Anyway, 4 horrifying true Treehouse horror stories. I'm about to react to this today. It's been a while since I've done like a horror reaction, so decided to do one here. Let's check it out, bro. These motherfucking shits be pissing me off, bro. I'm gonna try not to cuss as much. I was about to say, what the hell? I'm trying not to cuss as much. You know what I'm saying? Don't want to get flagged. Bro, like I was saying, these motherfluffers in these stories be pissing me off because they be making the worst decisions ever. It's like y'all are living in a horror movie, bro. Like, a lot of y'all are just dumb, man. A lot of y'all don't have survival instincts. You know what I'm saying? Like me, I love my life, so I'm going to defend my life at all costs. You know what I'm saying? I ain't going to do no stupid shit that risks my life. You only get one life, bro. A lot of y'all are just stupid. But hey, Treehouse. Have I ever had a treehouse? I don't think so. I used to climb trees a lot, but I never had a treehouse. I never been in a treehouse like this. This shit's actually fire. Like, I might build me a treehouse one of these days. But hey, check it out. Let's see this shit, man.
Before getting into today's stories, I'd like to take a moment.
Hold on. No. Here we are. Yo! Alright.
Moment to thank this video's sponsor, Action.
You're welcome.
When I was a kid, around 9 or 10, my dad got a really high-paying job that forced us to move from middle-of-nowhere Pennsylvania to Brookmont, Maryland. I say forced, but that's probably not the best way to describe what happened. In reality, my parents were thrilled to make the move. It was a decision they barely thought about.
Hell yeah!
In the span of about a month, we went from this tiny, rundown house in a relatively low-income area to a massive property in one of Maryland's nicest suburbs.
What's so bad about it,
You might be wondering how I felt about the
You're talking about it like it's bad.
whole thing. At that age, I was a pretty antisocial kid and mostly kept to myself, so it's not like I was leaving any lifelong friends behind. I didn't really have any to begin with.
Okay, so why are you mad?
Years later, my parents would tell me that the prospect of giving me a fresh start was one of the reasons they were so willing to uproot our entire lives. But that's neither here nor there. The move didn't bother me much, and I was able to adjust pretty quickly. It's not like adjusting was very difficult given the circumstances, though. Like I said, the house was huge, and even my 10-year-old self could pick up on
You don't be going outside, gang. That's tough.
the fact that we wouldn't be struggling to make ends meet anymore. I'm not going to bore you about the pointless details about the inside of the house. I'll only tell you what you need to know.
Get mad.
I had 2 older brothers, Sean and Harold. The backyard was easily our favorite part. It had a big plot of twisting hedges that made for perfect games of hide and seek, tag, or whatever else we came up with. But the best feature by far was the treehouse at the right edge
treehouse. Oh my god, this shit's beautiful.
of the property. Each house on the block was separated by a decently large cluster of tall trees, and the treehouse was situated directly within that patch. I say treehouse, but it was more like a tree castle. It wasn't your dad's run-of-the-mill weekend project. It was massive, spanning 6 or 7 adjacent trees. It had 3 different levels and an actual staircase built into it, not those flimsy planks you're probably used to seeing. It was obvious a professional had built it. For a while, my brothers and I played in the treehouse every day. It was always the highlight of our day. But eventually, my brothers got bored of the treehouse. They were older and in that awful teenage phase where nothing was cool anymore. Eventually, I was the only one who played up there, which kind of sucked. I was really torn up about basically being abandoned up there, but my brothers refused to come back no matter what I said. One day, I climbed up into the treehouse and found a folded piece of paper sitting in the corner. To this day, I still remember the exact words written on that first note. It said, "Hello, I'm the Marshmallow Man. It's nice to meet you. What's your name?"
What? Oh, hell no, bro. Talk about some Marshmallow Man, bro. Oh, hell no. What the fuck?
Live. I assumed it was one of my brothers playing a game with me.
Oh, hell no.
So I played along, hoping to re-interest them in the treehouse. There was a stack of paper in the treehouse that hadn't been there before, so I eagerly picked up one of the markers we had in there and wrote back, leaving a little note with my name. I placed it where I had found the first one, excited to play this new game. That night, I wanted to ask my brothers which of them was the Marshmallow Man, but I was afraid they'd stop playing if I said anything, so I kept quiet. For the next few days, I'd come home from school and run straight to the treehouse. Each time, there'd be another note waiting for me.
Oh, hell no. There's some creepy ass man living around there or some shit. That's crazy. That's crazy.
At first, the notes were innocent and sounded exactly like stuff my brothers would say. I was having a lot of fun with it, but as the days went on, the notes got stranger. The Marshmallow Man started asking me increasingly personal questions that I didn't fully understand.
Oh,
things that didn't make sense for me.
I would have told mom and pops right away. I would have been like, bro, this motherfucker, the Marshmallow Man, been sending me letters in my treehouse. What the fuck? You gotta get him out. You gotta get him out the way. You know what I'm saying?
My brothers to ask, like, what's your favorite time of day to play outside? Or what do you usually eat for breakfast? I don't remember every question he asked, but one of them that will always stick with me was, which window in the house is your bedroom?
Oh, hell no.
I look back at that exact question and literally feel sick to my stomach. At the time, I still didn't think too much of it.
That's weird.
I assumed it was still one of my brothers, so I answered every question without hesitation. But the next note
indoor, you could lock it? Why don't you lock it?
Was so unsettling that I couldn't keep quiet anymore.
Tell your parents.
It was something like, what do your pajamas smell like? Or something nasty along those lines.
Bro, go tell your parents,
I stormed
bro.
inside and confronted my brothers, demanding to know which of them was behind the notes. They both started laughing at me and denied it. Both of them swore there was no such thing as the Marshmallow Man, and started.
Nah, bro. If my brothers told me that after I'm getting these letters, first of all, it wouldn't have even gotten this far, bro. I'm gonna just say, who the fuck is this? Who's leaving these letters, bro? I'm about to crash out.
Making fun of me for still playing make believe.
Oh hell, nah. Me and the bros would have had to square up, bro. You ain't finna call me a liar, bro. Hell no.
Started crying and ran out of the room. I remember being a mixture of sad and angry. I knew one of them had to be lying. Instead of going to my parents, I hatched a plan to catch them in the act. I was not prepared for what was about to happen.
It's not them.
That night, as I lay in bed, I heard tapping at my window. I froze, feeling my heart start to beat out of my chest. I was already scared of the dark to begin with, so the tapping added a layer of fear that I couldn't deal with. I sat there in the dark for what felt like hours, too scared to move. Eventually, I forced myself to sleep. The next morning, I pulled
probably if he would have told his parents, they would have thought it was his brothers.
Back the window curtains and almost screamed. Taped to the outside of my...
That's why y'all need security. That's why y'all need cameras. Like, bro, I got cameras all over the house.
Window were dozens of marshmallows. It had to be my brothers. I was so angry. This wasn't funny anymore. I decided I'd catch them red-handed the next night.
Marshmallow Man, bro.
I pretended like I hadn't noticed the marshmallows and didn't say a thing to either of them all day. Later that night, I was ready. When the tapping started again, I jumped out of bed and yanked the curtains open, ready to yell at them. But it wasn't my brothers. On the other side of the glass was a man, an old, disgusting man with yellow eyes and what looked like rotting teeth. He had patchy hair on his head and smiled at me when he noticed me looking.
Oh, hell nah, bro.
I don't think I've ever screamed louder in my life. I felt like I was gonna die in that moment. My parents came running, but by the time they got to my room, the man was gone.
Oh, hell nah.
It was a huge thing. The police searched the property, combing through every inch of the yard and treehouse, but they didn't find anything. They even checked the surrounding area.
You're lucky he didn't do nothing to you, bro. If it would have got too far, bro, oh my gosh. You're lucky he didn't do nothing to you.
But that man was never found. Some of our neighbors came outside to see what was going on and reacted in horror when my parents filled them in. I told the police and my parents everything I knew, but there wasn't much I could even say. They took the notes in as evidence, but I doubt they really did anything with them. That man never came back. My parents told me to never play in the treehouse again, but it's not like I wanted to after that incident anyway.
Hell no.
I moved out of that house a while ago, but my parents still live there, and I always take an extra long look at the treehouse whenever I'm back. This remains one of the scariest things that has ever happened to me.
That's creepy, bro. That is creepy. Hell no. Like, y'all don't have your house secured, bro? I'll be damned if a motherfucker gets in my backyard.
This memory has been on my mind a lot lately. My youngest son Luke just went off to college, and while I'm proud of him, the house feels quieter than it ever has before. Too quiet, if I'm being honest. It's funny, when the kids are young, you dream of peace and quiet. But when it finally comes, it's not as comforting as you thought it would be. I don't know why, but his going away unlocked a part of my brain that honestly forgot about what I'm about to tell you. People have told my wife and I that it's normal to be thinking a little extra about memories from my kid's childhood at a time like this, so I guess it's not too surprising.
Man, stop crying about it, bro. You'll be alright. You'll be alright, motherfucker. Stop. So what I tell my parents, you'll be alright. If I move, I move. Get over it.
I still remember when he was just a little kid, full of energy and curiosity, always getting into something. There's one memory I have of that time that is definitely not all sunshine and rainbows, though. Luke was 8 years old when this happened. Even now, I can't fully make sense of it. I'm a carpenter by trade, so I'm pretty good with my hands. Always have been. I will admit that I was much more lively back then, willing to undertake all sorts of makeshift projects and such. One of my favorite projects was the treehouse I built for Luke in the backyard, which is still standing to this day.
Damn near living these things. Look at this, bro. It looks like a guest house.
It wasn't just a simple platform nailed to a tree. I poured my heart into it. Walls, a roof, proper wooden steps leading up to the entrance. It was sturdy, too. I wanted it to feel like an extension of our house to him, and I definitely succeeded in that regard.
So that's beautiful.
My wife Christy wasn't thrilled about it at first. She worried it was too high off the ground and unsafe. But Luke was the kind of kid who was always climbing trees anyway, and I figured it would be safer to give him a proper ladder rather than let him scramble up branches that could snap. Christy eventually came around, and Luke absolutely loved it.
Bro, this house has steps and shit. Oh
I'll probably tell you a little bit about our property so that the story makes more sense. Our house was at the very end of a dead-end street in a relatively woodsy area. The backyard actually bordered the woods, which was part of why Christy and I fell in love with the house in the first place.
That's beautiful.
It was private and peaceful, and we're kind of people that like keeping to ourselves. I still laugh when I think about all the times friends and family members have gotten lost trying to find our house. The yard wasn't huge, but I could clearly see the treehouse from our bedroom window, which was one of the deciding factors when I was determining where to build it. I wanted to be able to keep an eye on it should Luke hurt himself or something like that.
But nah, if my house is going into the woods, I gotta make a gate, like a backyard or something. Cause hell nah, bro, I don't need no bears coming into my house and shit, and freaking wolves, freaking alligators and freaking hyenas, bro, tigers. The fuck?
I couldn't actually see inside of it because of the walls, but I had a perfect view of the steps leading up to it. From what I remember, everything was relatively normal for a pretty long time. Luke spent what I considered a normal amount of time playing in the treehouse. His older brother had kind of outgrown that phase, so Luke mostly played by himself in there. I can't remember exactly when, but at one point he started talking about an imaginary friend named Jake.
Oh, hell no.
We knew it was an imaginary friend because no one in the neighborhood had a child named Jake. It wasn't unusual for kids to have imaginary friends, but Luke was 8, not exactly the age where you'd still expect that sort of thing. Christy thought it was cute and innocent, but I was a little more skeptical.
Yeah.
It seemed odd to me
since... Ain't no having imaginary friends, bro. Because I'm going to think it's a ghost or a demon. You feel me? Hell no.
Luke hadn't been the type of kid to make imaginary friends. Regardless, I didn't think much of it because he was only 8 years old.
Watch it be some grown-ass man or some shit.
It started to get a little more concerning when Christy and I realized that Luke was starting to spend more and more time up there. What struck me as strange was that he wasn't...
Damn, bro, this treehouse is... Oh my god, bro, look at this treehouse, bro. It looks like a fucking apartment. Oh my god, who be building these treehouses? And look at the view, bro. Oh my god, bro, I need me a treehouse like this. But I'm gonna make sure I lock the motherfucker, because I don't need no people going in my treehouse and shit. The hell?
Bringing toys up there.
Put a TV in there and shit. Watch the Cowboys play. That'd be fire.
As far as I could tell, he only had his imagination to play with. It's not like he had a game console or anything to keep him entertained. and I had been very clear about not carrying anything up there alone, as it was dangerous and I didn't want him to fall. At one point, my curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to ask him about it. Luke acted extremely weird when I asked him about his friend, and said that Jake was shy and didn't like being talked about. When I asked him why he was spending so much time up there, he told me that Jake only liked to play in the treehouse, and that he didn't like coming inside. I honestly didn't know what to say. It seemed like a pretty bizarre condition. Were an imaginary friend supposed to be available wherever and when?
Bro, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna tell my kid right now, you're gonna show me who Jake is right now. We're going up to that treehouse, motherfucker.
Whenever you needed them? I did some
Who the hell
research
is
later
Jake?
that day.
I don't know no
found
Jake.
out that some kids only play with their imaginary friends in certain rooms of their house. So as weird as it was, I accepted it. Christy was pretty uneasy though. She thought Luke was taking this imaginary friend.
Bro, like, the shit like that could be dangerous, bro. What if it's a grown-ass man up in there? Watch. It's gonna be some grown-ass man, some creepy-ass dude. Watch.
Thing too far, and I honestly agreed. We weren't helicopter parents though. When it came to our kids, we let them spend their free time however they wanted to.
Yeah, but
as long as they were doing well in
to a
school
point,
and completing their chores. Most weekends, we'd let Luke play with the neighborhood kids until the sun went down. They'd ride bikes, play
bro, if my kid's up there alone playing by himself, bro, talk about some Jake. Like, bro, if you're playing with the neighborhood kids, cool. Like, but some random ass kid named Jake, I've never seen this motherfucker before. Nah, bro, we ain't doing all that. You're gonna show me who Jake is. I promise you.
Tag and usual stuff. They were all good kids, and we trusted Luke to behave himself and stay out of trouble. He wasn't the type of kid to pick on other kids or get into fights, which was why I was especially concerned when Luke came home one Saturday with a black eye. I cleaned him up and asked him what happened. He looked down at the floor and didn't say anything, but I insisted that he tell me what happened, and I wouldn't be mad at him.
Watch, he's gonna say, Jake punched me. Watch.
What he said next made me shiver.
Nah, bro.
He looked up at me and told me that he had gotten into a fight with Jake. I had to process whose kid Jake was.
and these motherfuckers are still under the thought that this is an imaginary friend. Like, bro, at this point, it's gone too far, bro. You got to figure out who the fuck Jake is, bro. Like, bro, what? This is why I need cameras, man. Or this is why I have cameras. Like, if I have kids, I'm going to definitely have cameras. I ain't going to spy on them, you know what I'm saying? But I'm going to make sure they're safe and shit. Like, bro, who the fuck is Jake?
Before realizing that he was talking about his imaginary friend. I told him not to lie to me and that he wasn't being funny. Instead of fessing up, Luke just started crying and ran to his room.
We need to find out who Jake is.
Christy was convinced he'd gotten into a fight with one of the neighborhood kids and didn't want to admit it.
Find out who Jake is!
I agreed with that.
Like, bro, what if it's a grown-ass man that punched this dude punched your kid in the eye, bro? Bro, if I find, like... Bro, if some grown-ass man punches my son in the eye, it's over.
Wanted me to take down Treehouse right then and there, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. That treehouse had taken weeks of hard work, and the thought of tearing it down didn't sit right with me.
Tear it down, or at least find out who Jake is.
I told her that I'd talk with Luke and tell him that he was taking things way too far. Luke refused to come out of his room or talk to me for the rest of the day, so getting something out of him wasn't going to happen. The next day, I decided to investigate. When I climbed up into the treehouse, what I saw made my stomach churn.
Watch, it's
Scattered around were children's socks and sneakers, all dirty and tattered. I knew for a fact that none of them belonged to Luke. I also knew for a fact that they weren't my older son's either. We had donated all of his old shoes a long time ago. That's not all that was up there. There were also food wrappers, bags, utensils, even a couple of dirty plates.
He's been living up there.
Weirdest of all, there were pencil drawings of wild animals on all the walls. There was a fox, a bear, some deer. I don't remember all of them, but I do remember that they were all animals. The one that stood out to me the most was what appeared to be a gigantic spider with a face that was just completely penciled over. It was just downright freaky.
What the fuck, man?
I immediately climbed down
Tear
and
that
asked
shit
Luke
down.
about the treehouse. He told me that Jake only liked to talk on a full stomach, so he had to bring him food and other snacks. He then told me that the shoes and socks were also Jake's, and that Jake was pretty forgetful in general. That was it. From that moment on, I forbade Luke from going into the treehouse.
Tear it down.
I knew he was still lying to me, and I wanted to punish him until he admitted to it. I was 100% sure that Luke had found those things around the neighborhood and was making up stories to cover.
I'm about to slap the shit out you, bro. If my son tells, I'm gonna believe my son, bro. Why would my son just make this shit up? Why would he go out of his fucking way to get like some random ass shoes, wrappers, and draw on the wall? Why would he make it up? I'm gonna believe my son, bro. You're a bitch for that. Low key. Like, kids don't be lying for real. You're a bitch for that, bro. Not believing your kid. Punishing him. What's wrong with you, bro?
Cover it up.
And watch, it always gets too far. Something bad's gonna happen, bro. I just know it.
Christy was worried about Luke's mental health, and I was too. We thought about consulting a professional should things continue.
Bro, y'all are some jackasses.
But one evening, I saw something that changed everything.
I would have stayed looking at that treehouse with binoculars, waiting for that motherfucker to show back up. Oh, I'm gonna wait there for hours.
I was looking out the bedroom window when I spotted movement near the treehouse.
Yup.
At first,
What'd I
was
just say?
livid that Luke was disobeying
What did I say?
me. But then I realized what I was looking at. A sickly, frail-looking child was climbing down the treehouse step.
What did I just say? I'm a genius. I knew it. I don't be making this shit up, bro.
It wasn't Luke.
And yeah, I'm gonna pause as many times as I want. Talk about some... Bro, stop pausing so much. I'm gonna pause as much as I want to.
He didn't look like any of the kids from the neighborhood either. His clothes were dirty, and he moved like he hadn't eaten in days.
It's Jake.
I ran outside, yelling for that kid to stop.
He's not gonna stop.
As soon as I opened the back door, the boy darted into the woods.
That kid's about to run.
I chased after him, but he was freakishly fast. Within seconds,
That kid's a
he
demon.
disappeared into the trees. Christy called every parent in the neighborhood, but all their kids were accounted for. We called the police, who searched the woods thoroughly for over an hour, but found nothing. No missing children had been reported in the area either.
That kid is a demon.
The whole thing was beyond explanation. With my consent, the police questioned my son about that kid.
Tear that fucking treehouse
What he told them was horrifying. Apparently, Jake claimed to be a magic boy who lived in the woods with his other friends.
What?
His friends were supposedly all animals, as he called them bear, fox, and names like that. Every time Jake would come to visit my son, he'd beg him to leave his family behind and join him in the woods with the rest of...
That's some creepy shit, bro. I ain't gonna cap, bro. That's some creepy ass shit. Bro, is this story real, man? What the fuck? What the fuck, bro? Bro, this shit can't be real, bro. This shit sounds like it's straight out of a movie, bro. Nah, bro. This kid lived in the wood. Oh, hell no. Bro, tear that motherfucking shit. Actually, move out, bro. Fuck that. Y'all are living by a civilization in the woods. Move out. Bro, I would have moved out.
Of his friends.
That's why you don't live by the woods. I mean, it's beautiful and all, but hell no.
He'd then get mad when Luke would refuse and make these strange noises. I don't know why Luke never told me any of it, and there was a part of me that
Because
felt
you're a
responsible
jackass.
for putting him in danger like that.
You're a jackass. You're like, oh, this is imaginary friend. Stupid ass, bum ass. Ooh, boy.
The police conducted a full search of the woods, but never found a thing. We never saw Jake again.
I ain't saying you're a bad father, bro, but that's an L moment for you. You gotta watch what your kids are doing, bro. Don't be helicopter parents, but you gotta make sure you know what your kids are doing. You know what I'm saying?
And after that, Christy has always been incredibly superstitious and theorized that Jake wasn't real. I don't believe in stuff like that, but the way she talks about it
He
always
might be a
gives me an
demon.
unsettling
That's what I was
feeling.
saying.
I honestly don't know which explanation is freakier.
I don't believe in stuff like that. Like, bro, shut up.
The fact that some paranormal entity was interacting with my son, or the thought that there might be woods folk lurking around somewhere in the forest behind my house.
Move out that house. The woods folk. Bro.
This happened a few weeks ago, so it's still fresh in my mind.
Damn.
I live in a quiet suburb in Delaware.
Bro, is that freaking Grove Street?
So it's still fresh in my mind. I live in a quiet suburb in Delaware, but I'm a sophomore in college out in California. This happened during fall break in October, when I was back home for a few days. I come home every chance I can, which honestly always feels a little bittersweet. I love seeing my parents, but they're really traditional, which can be suffocating. One of the things that drives me crazy is how uptight they are about weed. Even though it's recently been legalized here, they'd lose their minds if they knew I smoked. They've never really gotten used to the idea that I'm an adult now. I can't really understand their position on the whole thing, but at the end of the day, they are my parents, and I would never disrespect them.
Yeah, you gotta love your parents, you gotta respect your parents. But damn, Pops, Mom, chill.
While I'm under their roof. Whenever I'm home, I have to sneak around to avoid getting caught. I hate to admit it.
Just carry a disposable or some shit.
But sneaking around my parents is a skill I've mastered over the years. I can't even count the number of times.
When I'm around like family, bro, I'll get a disposable. Just smoke that shit whenever they're not looking.
I've snuck out of the house late at night, let alone all the other mischievous shit I used to do. My dad has the nose of a bloodhound, so smoking inside isn't an option. Thankfully, my old treehouse is still standing in the front yard. My parents built it for me when I was a kid, and even though it's weathered and creaky in some spots, it's held up surprisingly well. It's high enough in the tree.
With lights and shit, freaking. Damn, bro. 3-story tree houses, bro.
That it's basically hidden from view, especially from the house.
I've never seen no tree house like that.
From up there, I can see everything. The yard, the street, some windows of the house, but no one can see me unless they know exactly where to look. When I was younger, that treehouse was the place I went when I needed to escape, which, if you knew what I was like as a child, was relatively often. It's honestly kind of hard to talk about with all the old memories flooding back, but I'll get to the point.
Bro, had a rough childhood.
On the Saturday before I was supposed to fly back to school, my parents were out at some banquet or something that was going to run late into the evening. I knew they wouldn't be home for hours, but I didn't know exactly when they'd be returning. I didn't want to risk getting caught in the backyard, so I climbed up into the treehouse with my stash just to be safe.
Yeah, smoke up in the treehouse.
It was chilly out, and I could see my own breath in the air. Damn. I have this theory that cold weather induces more nostalgia, but that might just be me. It was quiet and peaceful up there, and it was nice being the only one around. I've always liked being up high too, so that definitely added to the experience. I watched the sunset as I thought about school, excited to go back. By the time I finished, it was mostly dark outside, meaning I had timed things just right. That's when I noticed it. As I was panning my eyes across the yard, a light turned on in the house. I froze, knowing I was the only one home. My heart started racing as I stared at the window, feeling that instinctual sense of fear that only arises from true danger.
Y'all are getting robbed.
My field of vision began closing in around that single source of light.
Unless you have a strap, you better stay in that motherfucking treehouse, bro, or you're gonna get killed.
As if it were drawing me in.
Actually, you're not killed because you're telling the story.
A few moments later, movement in the backyard snapped me out of my disassociative state.
Oh, hell no.
3 hooded figures were circling the property, clearly trying to move quickly.
Yep, they're trying to rob you.
My stomach dropped as I realized what was happening. I watched as the 3 figures moved to the front steps.
Better not
That's
move.
when a 4th figure opened the door and let them in. My chest tightened as it hit me. My house was being robbed. I didn't know what to do, but I couldn't look away.
Bro, did they break in or something? Why didn't you lock the door, you stupid mother... Ooh.
Part of me was still frozen.
I'll be damned if I let my parents' house get robbed.
Another part of me was still trying to convince myself that what I was seeing was real. That's the best way I can explain what I was feeling in that moment. One of the figures stayed outside, pacing the yard. I think some subconscious part of me clicked, because I looked down and my phone was in my hand, open to the keypad on my phone app. Without thinking, I dialed 911 and whispered into the phone, trying to stay as quiet as possible. I told the operator what was happening and hung up. But as I was putting my phone away, the light from the screen must have caught the guy's eye, because he whipped his head to look up into the trees.
Oh my god, bro. Just stay still, bro.
I ducked.
If I don't have a gun and people are robbing my house, bro, they probably got a strap. Unless they don't. I'm just stay still, bro. You think I'm finna use my phone and shit, get myself caught or killed even?
But I was worried he had seen me. Not
Probably
3
did.
seconds later, I got my answer. I heard a voice yell out, "Hey," clearly directed at me. I peeked around one of the wooden floor pieces and saw a dark figure walking towards the base of the tree.
Oh, nah.
He knew where I was. I was sure of it.
You're done.
He got to the base of the tree and started climbing the wooden planks that led up to the treehouse.
Bro, I swear to God, if he's coming up, bro, I'm gonna be ready to fucking punch his ass, bro.
I screamed that police were on their way, hoping to scare him off, but he didn't stop. He just kept climbing, his hands gripping the planks like he was determined to get to me. Without thinking, I grabbed my bong, the only thing within reach,
Crack it
threw
over
it
his
as
head.
hard as I could. It hit him in the head and shattered
You're smart man, smart man.
into a million pieces, and he let out a loud curse before falling to the ground.
Yeah!
He wasn't very high up, but it was enough to make him reconsider.
That's survival skills right there.
Climbing back up again, he ran back towards the house and shouted at the other guys who were still inside. The next thing I saw was all 4 of them running to my backyard, where they presumably entered and exited from. My heart was still beating like crazy. Not even 3 minutes later, the police arrived. I was shaking so badly as I climbed down from the treehouse that I thought I was going to fall. I tried to tell them what had happened, but my words were a mess. I told them that I hadn't seen a getaway car and that I didn't get a good look at any of their faces. My parents pulled in not long after that.
There's nothing the police could do.
They were really sympathetic about the whole thing, which I was grateful for. The police told us that the robbers must have known my parents would be out that night. It seemed like a planned job, but what they didn't plan for was me being there. I still don't know how to feel about it. I especially don't want to think about what would have happened had that guy gotten all the way up to the treehouse. I'm back at school now, but if I'm being honest, I haven't had a good night's sleep since this incident.
You're smart though,
I'm terrified
bro.
those people might come back, and even more terrified that my parents are there all alone. I'm worried sick about their safety, and I just hope that's the last
I would have moved my parents out, bro.
we ever hear of them. I hope I never have to give an update, but I will if God forbid something comes up.
God forbid, bro. Hope your parents are safe.
When I was a kid, I had a very nightmarish experience at my childhood home. My family moved to this house when I was like 4, so I really don't remember anything of the house we lived in when I was born. We lived in what I call my childhood house from when I was 4 to when I was 14, so exactly 10 years. I loved that house. I have very good memories from growing up there. We moved out of state when I was just beginning high school, which was a nightmare in of itself, but that's nothing to do with this story. In the backyard of my childhood home was a treehouse. It was built by the previous owner for his kids. Believe it or not, when my parents viewed the house, a major selling point was the kid-friendly nature of the house and the backyard for my older brother and I. My brother Kyle is 2 years older than me, so he was 6 when they bought the house. And my brother and I apparently were very excited over the treehouse aspect in the backyard, according to my parents. My brother and I would play in the treehouse with friends we'd made over the years. But as the years passed, I would stop playing in the treehouse like that at a certain age. By the age of 12, I was obviously not playing in the
treehouses are definitely a perfect spot to smoke up. Oh God.
Treehouse anymore, but I was admittedly a troublemaker around this age, and I would often get in trouble with my parents. I'd get grounded often, and in general, I'd just throw a lot of temper tantrums, and there would be a lot of yelling in the house.
Damn.
One weekend,
Shit, I was a little badass kid, bro, but shit. Yeah, I was a badass kid. Did I throw temper tantrums? I don't even remember, bro. I wasn't really a bad kid outside of school. I was a bad kid in school because I wouldn't want to do work. Hell no. I would be mad as fuck. I did not want to do work. I don't know how I got to 7th grade, bro. I didn't do no work, bro. Ain't no work was getting done. Like, mainly motherfuckers would try and cheat, but I didn't even try and cheat. I just didn't want to do it. I said, nah, bro. I ain't doing that. I was a little badass kid. I was punished all the time, bro. I was punished. Had to sit in my room and do nothing, bro. You sit your ass in that room. First I get an ass whooping, then you sit down and think about what you've done.
My dad grounded me for a repeat complaint from my guidance counselor about my behavior and grades in school. And like an angsty, annoying preteen, I thought I hated my parents at that moment.
Nah.
That night, I refused to sleep in the house. I took a couple blankets and
pillows. Get on my nerves, bro, sometimes, but I love my parents, man, to death, man.
And went outside to the treehouse to sleep up there.
Oh,
it wasn't the first time I'd done this, and my parents would know about it when I do it.
Ass.
They didn't care. It was my little way of rebelling.
They didn't care.
Little did my dad know that I had my Nintendo DS with me, even though I wasn't allowed to play video games or watch TV. I played Animal Crossing for literally hours before getting tired and eventually going to sleep. But I think I was only asleep for a few moments. I don't think I even entered REM sleep yet, when I woke up to a voice from outside calling my name. Tommy. Tommy. I was still confused as I was waking back up.
Oh, hell nah.
It could have been my dad's voice. Tommy, are you up there? The voice said. All I remember is it being a deep, grown man's voice. I didn't reply. My heart started to race for some
You
reason.
better be quiet.
I heard the steps of the ladder squeak.
You stupid ass kid, bro. This is all your fault because you. No, this is your parents' fault. Actually, this is your parents' fault. I'll be damned if my kid goes and sleeps in a freaking treehouse, man. You better get your ass inside. That's bad parenting, bro. You talk about you didn't. Your parents didn't even care. I'll whoop my son's ass, bro. You ain't sleeping in no tree. You better go to your room, motherfucker.
As someone was coming up. And then, in the near pitch black darkness,
bro.
I saw someone poke their head through the opening in the floor.
Oh,
I couldn't see their face. I just saw the shadow of the outline of their head. He said, "Ah, there you are." I replied, "Dad?"
Punch him!
But this was where he stopped responding entirely. For about 20 seconds, I stared at this head that I presume was staring back at
Hell
me.
nah, bro.
I was waiting
does he
for
know
my
your
eyes to
name?
readjust to the darkness, but something told me that that wasn't my dad.
It's not
I
your
stood
dad.
up and went to the window of the
Kick him.
treehouse and started screaming "Dad" as loud as I could.
Kick him, punch him.
I saw the light in my parents' room turn on, and I also heard footsteps hurrying down the ladder to the treehouse. Moments later, my parents burst outside through the back door, and my dad swore to me that he wasn't out there playing a prank on me. My parents believed me. It wasn't like some stupid horror movie where the parents don't believe a word the kid says. My uncle was still an active cop at the time, and so my dad called him for advice.
How did he know
My
your
uncle
name?
made a report on the incident the next day. Not much information I could give besides I heard a deep man's voice and saw the outline of his head and that
said
he
your
knew my
name.
name. Not much the police could work with. Obviously, I never spent a night in the treehouse again.
Stupid ass
My
kid.
dad
Stupid ass parents, bro. Why? How you gonna let your son sleep in the freaking treehouse, man? That's dangerous.
A while thought it was one of the neighbors directly across from us, but he could never prove it. For years, whenever I'd see him outside and he'd say hi to me, I'd try to think back to the voice from that night, but I just couldn't remember it clearly enough to make a comparison. It still
That's
remains.
scary, bro. Look, moral of these 4 stories: don't sleep in no treehouse. Like sleep in your house, bro, with the doors locked. You feel me? Your windows locked. Make sure your house is secured, bro. That's the moral of this story. Don't sleep in no goddamn treehouse. Hell's wrong with you? I'm out.